After months of late-night meetings, my coworker whispered, "I can't pretend I don't want you anymore." I replied, "This could ruin everything." He smirked, "Then why did you kiss me in the elevator?" Our HR manager saw us together and asked, "Is there something you need to tell me?" I realized my career and my secret were both on the line. I never thought I'd be the type to cheat. Never thought I'd be the kind of person who lied, snuck around, and made excuses for something I knew was wrong. I always thought people who cheated were selfish, careless, or just plain bad. But the truth is, it's not always that simple. Sometimes, it happens so slowly, so quietly, that you don't even realize you've crossed a line until you're already drowning in it. I wish I could say I didn't see it coming. But I did. I just didn't stop it. It started as late-night meetings. Long hours, big deadlines, stress. The kind of job where you're expected to give up nights, weekends, and personal time just to keep up. And I was fine with that. I'd been doing it for years. My wife hated it, but she understood. "Just don't burn yourself out," she'd say when I came home at 2 a.m. "You work too hard." If she only knew. At first, it really was just about work. We were on the same project, dealing with impossible expectations and a boss who didn't care how late we stayed as long as the work got done. We sat in that dimly lit office, side by side, drowning in numbers, presentations, and caffeine. And then somewhere along the way, it stopped being about the work. His name was Daniel. I'd known him for years. We weren't exactly friends, but we worked well together. He was sharp, ambitious, and intimidating in a way that made you want to impress him. He always seemed like he had everything under control. I envied that. I admired him. And that admiration turned into something else. I don't know when it changed. Maybe it was the night we were the last two in the office, eating cold takeout and laughing over how much we both hated our boss. Maybe it was the moment he loosened his tie and leaned back in his chair, looking at me in a way that made my stomach tighten. Maybe it was when I started looking forward to these late nights, even when I didn't have to stay. I should have stopped then. But I didn't. It was the elevator ride that did it. We were leaving late, just the two of us. It was quiet. No small talk, no phones, just the hum of the elevator. And then he looked at me. Not the way a coworker looks at you. Not even the way a friend looks at you. It was a look that said, "I know you feel this too." And I did. The moment stretched. Too long, too heavy, too charged. I should have looked away. I should have stepped back. But I didn't. I kissed him. Or maybe he kissed me. I don't know. But for those few seconds, nothing else existed. Then the elevator doors opened, and reality came crashing back. Neither of us said a word. We just walked to our cars like nothing happened. Like we hadn't just set fire to everything. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed next to my wife, staring at the ceiling, my heart still racing. It was a mistake. Just a moment of weakness. That's what I told myself. But then it happened again. And again. Once the line was crossed, there was no going back. It wasn't just the office anymore. It was drinks after work, lingering glances in meetings, hands brushing too long. It was stolen moments in hotel rooms, fake names at check-ins, excuses my wife never questioned. I became someone I didn't recognize. I lied effortlessly. I snuck around without guilt. I became good at it. And I kept telling myself I had control. Until I didn't. I should have known it wouldn't stay secret. Affairs like this never do. The first red flag should have been the way people started looking at us in the office. The way conversations quieted when we walked in. The way our HR manager, Rebecca, started watching us a little too closely. Then one afternoon, she called me into her office. I walked in, already on edge, already thinking of excuses. She closed the door and leaned back in her chair. "Is there something you need to tell me?" My stomach dropped. I forced a laugh. "What do you mean?" She didn't smile. "You know what I mean." I was about to deny it, to act like I had no idea what she was talking about. But something in her face told me it wouldn't work. Office affairs don't stay secret forever. She sighed and shook her head. "Look. I don't care what you do outside of work, but when it starts affecting the office, it becomes my problem." I said nothing. "Keep it discreet," she warned. "And be smart." It should have been a wake-up call. But it wasn't. Because I was already too far gone. The night my wife found out, I knew my life was about to explode. It was one stupid mistake. One text I forgot to delete. "I need you. Now." I woke up to her sitting at the edge of the bed, my phone in her hand. She wasn't crying. She wasn't yelling. She was just still. Who is Daniel? There was no good answer. I told her the truth. And I watched something in her break. She didn't scream. She didn't throw things. She just stood up, walked to the closet, and started packing. I begged. I cried. I told her it didn't mean anything. That it was a mistake. She didn't say a word. She left before sunrise. The next morning, I went to work like nothing happened. But people knew. Daniel's fiancée found out too. She wasn't quiet about it. Within days, everyone in the office knew. The whispers, the side eyes, the fake sympathy. Then, the final blow, I lost the promotion. The one I had sacrificed everything for. Because I wasn't management material anymore. I was a scandal. A joke. A liability. Daniel quit. Transferred to another company. Another city. Another life. And I was left picking up the pieces. My wife still won't speak to me. I kept my job, but I lost everything else. And I still wonder, was he worth it? Maybe, for a moment, it felt like love. Maybe it was love. Or maybe it was just two people looking for something they shouldn't have. Either way, the cost was more than I ever imagined. And if I could go back? I'd take the stairs instead. I thought rock bottom had already hit. Turns out, I was wrong. Losing my wife, the promotion, and whatever dignity I had left should have been enough. It should have been my breaking point. But life wasn't done with me yet. Because 2 weeks after Daniel quit, I got a message. Blocked number, meet me at the bar on 7th, 9 p.m. We need to talk. I knew exactly who it was. And like an idiot, I went. The bar was dimly lit, half empty. I spotted him immediately. Daniel was sitting in a corner booth, nursing a whiskey. He looked different. Tired. Hollow. Like the mess we had made had finally caught up to him, too. I sat down. Neither of us spoke at first. Then he looked up, eyes sharp as ever. She knows. I felt my stomach drop. Who? My fiancé. I exhaled. Yeah. I figured. No, you don't get it, he snapped. She knows everything. She hired a PI. I stared at him. What? She had someone follow me. 4 months. Every hotel, every meeting, every lie. She has proof. Photos. Texts. Call logs. Everything. My blood turned to ice. Jesus Christ, Daniel. She's threatening to go to HR. To your wife. To, hell, I don't even know. She's pissed. Of course she was. Of course she wanted revenge. What does she want? I asked, my voice hoarse. He let out a bitter laugh. Everything. He reached into his jacket and tossed something onto the table. A manila envelope. I hesitated before picking it up. Inside were photos. Crystal clear. Daniel and I in his car. At the hotel. Kissing in the elevator. I could barely breathe. She sent these to my boss, he said flatly. I lost my job today. I felt like throwing up. And she's not done. She wants to ruin me, he muttered, rubbing his temples. She wants to ruin us. I couldn't think straight. Does my wife know? He hesitated. Then, not yet. Not yet? I repeated. What the hell does that mean? It means she's giving me a choice. Daniel took a slow sip of whiskey, eyes dark. Either I pay her off, a lot, or she blows this thing up. Publicly. I leaned back, hands shaking. How much? 50 grand. I nearly laughed. 50 grand? Are you serious? Dead serious. That was money I didn't have. Money he didn't have, not anymore. And if we don't pay? He gave me a long, hard look. Then she makes sure we lose everything. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the photos. My wife finding them. My boss getting them. The entire world knowing exactly what I had done. I considered calling her. His fiancée. Begging. But something told me it wouldn't matter. She didn't want apologies. She wanted blood. And she was going to get it. It happened faster than I expected. The next morning, I walked into the office, and the looks were different. Not the usual quiet judgment. Something new. And then Rebecca, our HR manager, called me into her office. Again. The moment I sat down, she slid her laptop across the desk. I looked. And felt my soul leave my body. Because there it was, a company-wide email. Subject line, what kind of men represent this company? Inside was a Google Drive link. With all the photos. The text underneath was simple. Just in case you didn't know who you work with. I felt like I was drowning. Tell me what's going on, Rebecca said, her voice tight. I swallowed hard. But before I could answer, my phone buzzed. One new message. Blocked number, that was just the beginning. And that's when I knew, I was officially screwed. The email was bad. But it wasn't the worst part. Not even close. Because 2 hours later, I got a text from my wife. Call me. Now. I didn't want to. I wasn't ready. But ignoring her wasn't an option. So I stepped into an empty conference room, heart pounding, and dialed. She answered on the first ring. So, how long were you going to lie to me? Her voice was calm. Too calm. Babe, don't. Just don't. I heard her take a deep breath. I got an email. My stomach dropped. What email? From a very helpful stranger. Of course. His fiancée. I saw the photos, Michael. I had nothing to say. Because what do you say to someone you just emotionally obliterated? I want a divorce. I knew it was coming. But hearing it still felt like being gutted. Please, don't, I don't want to talk, she cut me off. I don't want an explanation. I don't want your sorry excuses. I just want you out of my life. I felt my throat tighten. I never wanted to hurt you. She laughed. A sharp, bitter sound. You didn't just hurt me, Michael. You humiliated me. Silence. Then, a deep breath. I already called a lawyer. You'll be hearing from them soon. Click. She was gone. After that, everything unraveled fast. My boss called me into his office that afternoon. He didn't even pretend to be sympathetic. This is a mess, Michael. A huge mess. I know, I muttered. You're a liability now. Do you understand that? We're letting you go. I sat there, stunned. I've been here for 8 years, I protested. You're firing me over a personal mistake. He just gave me a look. The company doesn't do scandals. Pack up your things. And just like that, I was unemployed. Divorced. Exposed. Ruined. I went home that night to an empty apartment. Half of our stuff was gone. She had already started moving out. There was a thick envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside were divorce papers. And a note. You deserve this. I sank onto the couch, head in my hands. I had lost everything. Because of one man. Because of one mistake. But just when I thought it couldn't get worse, Daniel called. I almost didn't pick up. But something told me to answer. You need to get out of town, he said, voice low. What? You don't get it. This isn't over. Daniel, I just lost my job. I just lost my wife. How much worse can it get? A long pause. Then, you're being investigated. I felt my blood run cold. Investigated? By who? The company. The board. Maybe the police. The police? I choked. The PI my ex hired? He wasn't just following me. He was following you too. And apparently, they found some shit. What the hell does that mean? I don't know. But I think she's coming for more than just your marriage and career. Silence. Then, Michael, you need to disappear. I didn't believe Daniel at first. I thought he was being paranoid, overreacting. But then, 2 days later, I got a letter from a lawyer I didn't recognize. A lawsuit. From the company. Allegations of misconduct. Breach of ethics. Even fraud. It didn't make sense, until I saw the fine print. They were accusing me of expensing hotel stays under client meetings, when, in reality, I had been meeting Daniel. Which was true. But I hadn't done it to steal from the company. I hadn't even thought about the expense reports. It was automatic, like all the other late-night work charges. But now they were twisting it. Making it seem like I had used corporate money to fund an affair. And maybe, technically, I had. The company wanted its money back. My wife wanted me out of her life. Daniel was already gone. And his ex-fiancée was out for blood. I was backed into a corner. And I had no way out. I had one last move. I had to talk to her. So I found her. A downtown law office. She worked as a corporate attorney, ironic, considering she was now tearing my life apart with legal threats. I waited outside. Hours passed. Then, finally, she walked out. She saw me instantly. Her face twisted in disgust. "Are you actually stalking me now?" she said, crossing her arms. "I just want to talk." "You lost the right to talk to me the second you touched him. Please." My voice cracked. She hesitated. Then, with an eye roll, she motioned to a small cafe across the street. We sat down. The air between us was toxic. "What do you want?" she asked coldly. I exhaled. "I need to know what you want from me. Do you want money? An apology? What?" She smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "What do I want?" she repeated. "I want you to feel what I felt when I opened my phone and saw pictures of my fiancé in bed with you." "I already do." "No. You don't. Because you're still here, looking for an easy way out. And I'm not giving you one." I clenched my fists. "Dragging this out won't change anything. You got what you wanted. My wife left me. I lost my job. What else do you want?" She tilted her head. "I want you to tell me the truth." "I am telling you the truth." "No, you're not." She leaned in. "Because I don't think you even know it." I frowned. "What are you talking about?" She tapped a manicured nail on the table. I read through all the texts. Every single one. I saw how you talked about him. How he talked about you. I swallowed hard. "I don't think this was just some affair," she said quietly. I shook my head. I don't know what you mean." She gave me a sad smile. "I think you loved him." I flinched. She sighed. "And I think he loved you, too. But you were both too cowardly to admit it." I couldn't breathe. Because deep down, I knew she was right. I hadn't just lost my job, my marriage, my reputation. I had lost him. And maybe, in some twisted way, she wasn't just trying to punish me. Maybe she was trying to make me see it. I opened my mouth, but no words came. She stood up. "Goodbye, Michael." And just like that, she walked away. I sat there for a long time. Thinking. Remembering. Daniel's smirk. His sharp wit. The way he always made me feel like I was standing at the edge of something dangerous. And the way I always jumped. She was right. It wasn't just an affair. I had fallen for him. And I had lost him before I even realized it. I pulled out my phone. No new messages. I stared at Daniel's name. And then, before I could stop myself, I typed, "If you ever want to talk, you know where to find me." I hit send. Then I turned off my phone. And walked away.